knife formed the head.
But I remain Olivia Munn. Today is December 14th, 1987, and we're coming to you guys live from G4 Network's World Television headquarters in Los Angeles.
Welcome to an all-new edition of Attack of the Show. On today's episodes, we have finally got our hands on the tape.
Welcome back, and right now, Kevin has some fantastic discussion about this week's happenings. Kevin?
Thanks, Olivia. It's been a good year for sci-fi. Windows is out, but are they ripping off Macintosh technology? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles makes the jump from comic book to boob tube, and Jerry Falwell took Larry Flynt and Hustler magazine to court. You gotta have faith. Faith. It's The Loop. Week in Review. Yeah. My guest tonight here in Los Angeles, editor for Cinema Fantastique, it's Robert Sanchez. In San Francisco, editor for Byte magazine, the lovely Natali Del Conte joins us. And also in the City of Angels, it's television's editor for Variety, Michael Schneider. Looking boss, Michael.
The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Yeah, well, keep them on, buddy. I like it. This week's big movies, Throw Mama from the Train, Three Men and a Baby. Come on, they don't seem to be creating nearly as much excitement as some of the science fiction films that have done so well all year long. I mean, Michael, Predator came out, like, what, 6 months ago, but the public is still going crazy for this film.
Right, exactly. I think we're seeing a new breed of sci-fi. I mean, between that and RoboCop kicked ass. I mean, we really started to see this trend at the start of the 80s when, E.T. came out and blew everyone away. And since then, I think people have started to think of sci-fi in very different terms, much more in storytelling and character development and these kind of movies that we haven't seen before.
That's true. And it's interesting, Michael, you mentioned RoboCop there. Robert, I mean, do you think a film like RoboCop comes along, it's so... I mean, it originally was an X. They had to re-edit it so that it got the R in theaters. I mean, is that really responsible for seeing the switch from the sort of sappy and soft-core sci-fi films to the more hard R type films?
Well, it's obviously it's a new vision for science fiction. Obviously, we know that RoboCop it has its roots in comic books that we read today, like Iron Man and so on. It's definitely a new vision on science fiction, and even though we're talking about RoboCop and we're talking about Predator, let's not forget, Masters of the Universe just opened a couple months ago, and that was sweet.
Kevin, really, I'd have to say Short Circuit started the trend, by the way, with a character like Johnny Five sort of really changing the way people view these kind of movies.
That is true. Number 5 is alive, man. I dig it. Windows 2.0 came out a few months ago with quite a few new features, but some people with computers have been quick to point out that the look and feel of the Windows interface is actually strikingly similar to Apple's. Natali, what do you think? Could a lawsuit actually be on the horizon here?
Well, I don't think so. I think they are very similar, I will admit that. But, the new Windows has some cool things. It's got something cool called Microsoft Word. There's also a new spreadsheet program called Microsoft Excel, which is so cool. So, I think there are some original things about Windows 2.0, and really, a lawsuit over operating systems, that'll never happen.
Yeah, well, it still makes the most sense as a word processor. So we have it at the newspaper that I work at, but at the same time, my parents have a Commodore 64. I'm fine with holding off. Now, a friend of mine actually had just subscribed to this new program called Parody, where actually he posts messages on the computer. I don't quite understand what's going on there, but it sounded kind of fun. I don't know.
I'll stick to SneakerNet and my pen and paper. Thank you very much. But as we mentioned earlier in the feed, the animated show based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic series premiered today. Now, the comics, I mean, we all know them, we love them. They were violent, they were dark, they had an intense storyline. But the animated show, it's going in a totally different direction. Michael, is a potential cult franchise being destroyed here?
I think that's very possible. I mean, can you imagine now them ever actually doing a movie or sort of, really going beyond that? I mean, if they're going to go sort of this more kiddie direction, then, it's disappointing to see what they're doing with it right now.
Yeah, this is dead before it even started. This ain't going to go
I like it.
But
I think
Natali,
it's really positive.
What do you think about what Michael said, though? Are we just one step away from seeing Dolph Lundgren, playing a role in a Turtles film?
Would that be so bad?
Isn't he committed to future Rocky movies?
I think he is, actually.
I think we'll first see this guy, Bruce Willis, be an action hero or something before that happens, Yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Robert, for that much-needed clarity. Finally, let's move on to Jerry Falwell versus Hustler. This is an interesting one, or with Hustler. They were in court a few days ago about this parody that was being published. It was depicting Falwell having a drunken, incestuous encounter with his